Good morning, everybody. It's almost noon. It's July 3rd, 2022. Hey, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I wanted to start addressing your APC/BCCi certification material and processes and help you to be successful in certification. But ultimately, my main concern is for you to understand, also to be a competent clinical chaplain as well. And so the first series, or part one of a series of videos that I will be addressing of all the essays. Most of my essays are going to be doing more in the clinical interventions processes. The OLs that are more administrative, I really don't care about those. Those really don't share. Those really, to me, are not as important as the delivery of care and your competencies in the clinical chaplain arena as well. So for the first one is the clinical, the autobiographical sketch. So what is a good autobiographical sketch? Well, I want to also be able to first share with you what the certification manual requires on the autobiography. It says, an autobiography is an autobiographical sketch of no more than 5 pages in length, double spaced, 12-point font, 1-inch margins. The autobiography should highlight the major events and themes of a patient's life as they impact their practice of ministry. This paper is not strictly intended to demonstrate any particular competency, but to serve as a backdrop to the applicant's material. Okay, so let me address, this isn't the portion of this isn't really to address any particular competencies, but only a backdrop to the material. I agree with that, but to show a real competent clinical chaplain, in your autobiographical sketch, you should be able to show your competency. And here's why. Anton Boysen, the father of CPE, wrote one of his, I think it was his first books, called Out of the Depths. It's an autobiographical sketch of his life. As many, or probably not many people know anymore, but he was institutionalized 3 or 4 times for mental breakdowns. And the way he got through healing is leaning into his delusions and fantasies, right? Which were caused by his childhood, his rearing. So our autobiographical sketch is very important. As in the certification manual, it does say it is a backdrop to the material, right? Now, but I say that we can go a little bit farther than that to show your competencies. Because I believe that the competent chaplain could use the autobiographical sketch as a case study on yourself. And you can show a lot of your competencies. And if you do a really good and thorough job with that, it could really impact and make some of those forthcoming essays a lot easier as well. So to write a good autobiographical sketch, treat it as a case study on yourself. Use your current case study template that you've been using in CPE. And I'm not saying as detailed, but kind of a loose framework of that case study template, So give a autobiographical sketch as much as you can, because it only has 5 pages, but synthesize what it was like to be you growing up, right? Those major life events. And what are those major life events? It's abuses, divorces, tragic accidents, things that you've witnessed, um, that potentially or possibly that has really impacted who you are today. And so you really want to be able to articulate and identify those events, right? And going through that is that's kind of like the verbatim portion of the case study, let's say. And so that's the time that you can get a little loose in dialogue of what's going on, possibly what's going on within you. And then, like in the next portion of a case study, it's an analysis. It's time to analyze what it was like to be you. Now you get to use your clinical competencies that you're probably going to, not probably, that you're going to write about in the forthcoming essays. Show your competencies by analyzing and assessing yourself. For example, let's say that your parents never stood up for you and you just felt alone, unsupported throughout your life. And then because of that, you began to develop a strong desire, advocacy, and fight for justice. And because of that, you began to fight with everybody. You fought every battle. You argue with people, in which it began to impact your interpersonal relationships. Now, and here's another insight. Why are you fighting? It's to protect yourself. The hurt and the pain that comes with not being stood up for or have supportive patients. So you have the pain. And so being able to identify, I think I start fighting with other people to protect myself, to address the pain in my life. So this is the way to soothe it. And lashing out, for instance, is a defense mechanism. It's keeping people at a distance. And so being able to identify how your early childhood has impacted your behaviors. And then you begin to go a little bit further. It's just like, okay, I'm really beginning to understand who I am. And now is a good thing is now, what are you doing? What have you done? What are you doing to care for that? See, now you're hitting into some more competency essays. So in this process, you're addressing some pastoral diagnosis, you're addressing personality theories, human development theories. You're beginning to address some of those things, even in your autobiographical sketch. So, what are you doing now? How are you managing? Give an example and demonstrate through your healing and through your insight, possibly a story about how you manage something differently. Show your healing through that, right? On a personal level. And then, if you can, if there's enough room, show how this now impacts or looks different in your clinical chaplaincy work. Because through our hurts and wounds, we can develop actual strength. Advocacy and justice are positive things. So, but if unaddressed or not self-aware, they can be very destructive and very hurtful to yourself. So, but those can be strengths, right? Those could be, you've developed them into strengths because you've kept them in check. But also, and so demonstrate how you've been able to do that even in your pastoral practice as well. If you're able to do this, you will be really heading into your essays in a very good point. Now, perhaps you can't get all this stuff in 5 pages, but if you can just make note of all those sections, right? But and still address what I said, but maybe not as in detail. But when you start doing those essays, you can utilize those essays and then connect them to your essay, to your autobiography, or vice versa. And so you can link them together, right? And so now you have talking points that you just don't feel lost. You don't have to be at the computer, or what do I say? You know what to say. You can, writing the essay, you can get more detail about kind of more of the broad overview of your autobiographical sketch. It will make writing your essays a lot more less stressful and anxiety reducing. So there you have it. Autobiographical sketch, how to be successful in writing an autobiographical sketch. It is a time, it's more than just information as background to the material that you're presenting. I believe if you treat your autobiographical sketch as a case study on you, it will make such an easier process through those other sections of your essays. You will have direction, you will have meaning and purpose while writing those essays. You won't be lost. Think, gosh, what does this mean? How do I do this? Whatever that. Your autobiographical sketch is the launch point to make all those other essays a lot easier. You just go into a little bit more detail with the essays. All right. Hey, I hope this was helpful. Like and subscribe to this channel. Please share comments if there's something you disagree with me with, or I was unclear with, or I did not speak about that you wish that I would have said something about. Put it in the comments section. Share this site with your friends and others who may be on the certification path as well. Now, I don't know if I said this, I don't remember in the beginning, but I have served on, 15 committees. So I know what the committees are looking for and hearing as well. But out of those 15, I really do believe there's people being certified that shouldn't be being certified. But I want to make sure if you're in my committee and I'm concerned with clinical chaplaincy as a profession, I just want us to be a good representation of clinical chaplaincy. And I want to feel confident and not be an outlier and agreeing to push someone forward for certification. So I want to feel good by saying, let's recommend them to certification and they met the requirements. All right, so next video will be on the first essay. What is it, PIC1? PIC1, I think. If not, it's whatever the first one is in that list. So I'll try to do one a week. So I look forward to seeing you again. Like and show give a comment and share this channel with other clinical chaplains, and we can begin to interact with each other as well. All right, take care and happy writing in your certification process. Bye-bye.